Very rough. Okay, and now time for the actual hoax hate cases.
And now, the nobody saw it happen, but it's totally a product of Trump's America hoax hate crime of the week.
Ah, shit, it's backwards. You think they'll notice?
Well, this is just an unstoppable trend lately. Teens of color scrawling racial slurs and swastikas on various walls around their schools. Don't worry, there's much more depth to this one. We're not just recycling the same bit. But I have to get through the first part, which is a recycling of the same bit. We've seen several episodes of this over recent weeks and months, but here's one more from Sacramento. Surveillance video captures 2 students writing racist graffiti. This incident at Rosemont High School on March 22nd.
Investigators say that they've identified 2 students that they say wrote racist graffiti on a high school wall. 2 African-American girls have been identified. This is a look at the graffiti written in pencil on the wall. This is a hallway at Rosemont High School last week. Now, because it was written in pencil, the physical damage was minimal. School officials and officers were able to use the surveillance footage there on campus to ID the students. The case has now been turned over to the DA's office for possible criminal charges.
If you had trouble seeing what it says, it's in pencil on the wall and says, all N-words should die. And there's just another N next to it. And actually, if I zoom in, it looks like they even signed it. Does it say like Brenda and Jessica down in the bottom left there?
I don't know. I mean, would you put it past them?
Did they sign this? Did
These
Brenda,
are low IQ crimes.
Or are Brenda and Jessica white chicks they were trying to frame?
I know.
I wonder if that's what this is, because there's clearly 2 names there.
Effort.
One of them is Jessica. The first one looks like Brenda. I didn't notice that in first glance.
This is the hoax hate version of like a drive-by shooting. It's like uninteresting and low effort.
Well, let me make it more interesting for you. Because if you've been listening to the show for a few weeks and months now, you might have noticed a pattern coming out of Sacramento. You know, think, hey, didn't we just see fake colored and white signs over a water fountain at a Sacramento school? Yes, we did. And wasn't there this bizarre vice principal at this West Campus high school in Sacramento? And she said that the N-word was written somewhere in the general vicinity of her parking spot.
That's right.
And then she had a seizure because of it. Yes, we talked about that one too. Well, that vice principal is back, because it turns out her case remains unsolved. We last visited it in November. So now she's suing the school, even though she's been on medical leave for months and apparently has not set foot in the school because of her N-word induced seizures. And remember, as reported back at the time, it was her first ever stress-induced seizure. I'm not clear if she just saw the N-word and had a seizure on the spot, or was traumatized and later had a seizure, but the stress she had from seeing this N-word in the general vicinity of her parking spot caused her to have a seizure. So she's been on medical leave. Now she's suing the school for not finding out who did this fast enough.
There have been at least 5 separate cases of racist graffiti found on Sacramento City Unified School campuses in less than a year. Most of the cases have been solved, but at least one, the one involving Dr. Elise Verscher, the vice principal at West Campus High School, has not.
Dr. Verscher is concerned that the incident targeting her still remains unsolved.
It speaks to the level of privilege in regards to the students and whose children are enrolled at West Campus.
I'm literally fighting for my life at this point, and it's painful because I love my job, but not at the expense of consistent harassment at work.
Dr. Verscher is still employed with the district, but after having a number of seizures is on medical leave from her position. She now has an attorney and is filing a civil lawsuit.
We want change. I don't want to have to continue to try to file these lawsuits against the same district because they refuse to act. But should they continue to refuse to act, then more lawsuits will be brought.
Man, I don't want to have to cash in on more bullshit racial claims, but if I have to do it, I guess I will.
Man, do you think she believes her own lies?
I was trying to look through school policies to figure out, obviously she's trying to cash in with a lawsuit, terms of which are undisclosed as far as I can find. But you know that she's trying to get some money out of this. I was looking through the policies. I don't know if her medical leave is paid or not. I'm going to speculate that it is, but I don't know that for sure. She says she's been racially terrorized at the school for years and has no evidence to that effect.
Maybe people just hate you because you're really incompetent.
Well, she doesn't seem like she's doing that much work. She's not even doing incompetent work. She's doing no work. She's sitting at home having stress seizures at the thought of returning to this school. And you may remember at the time, there are a couple things complicating her case here. At the time in November, we had these surveillance images of the suspects, at least who police believe did this. We went through them back then. One of them is clearly black. The guy closest to the camera in their surveillance images is black. It looks like 3 teens. One's black. And you might have noticed in that reporting, in the video there, the reporter said there have been 5 separate hate incidents in Sacramento schools in the last year, including this one. And then they said, well, they're all resolved except for this one. Are they all resolved? What was the outcome in each one of those cases? It turns out multiple were outright hoaxes, and others look like if they're not hoaxes, they're great exaggerations. There was one teacher, the one thing that's real is a teacher saying a word in a particular context. So they reference Kit Carson International Academy. This was a 7th grade teacher last year saying in class, recorded on video by a student, the F word is something we hear constantly. It used to be. It used to be a nasty, ugly word, and now it's like the word N-word, except for the teacher actually said the N-word, which everybody says, or N-word, which used to be a horrible, ugly word as well, and it's not anymore somehow. So that was recorded by a student. That teacher was fired. That teacher, as far as I can tell, is not publicly identified, but stories refer to her as a woman. And there are quotes that refer to her as not black or a minority. So I'm going to infer that she was a white woman.
White woman?
But that's clearly not a hate incident. In fact, she's saying this word is bad and we shouldn't use it, but now it's become casualized and we use it all the time. So that's the most real case of them all. Yeah, it happened. It's on video, but it's a teacher talking about a word in context saying it's bad. We're going to call that racial hate. Okay.
I'm really grasping at straws here.
McClatchy High School. You heard the reporter reference that. That was the water fountain hoax that we talked about a few weeks ago. On video, and a black female student confessed to putting white and colored over the water fountains. So that's been resolved. You might want to mention it's a hoax, not resolved as a hate crime.
Yep.
This other one, Lincoln Elementary, this was 2 14-year-olds who have been arrested for spray painting swastikas and KKK at Abraham Lincoln Elementary School, I guess after Lincoln's birthday earlier this year. So actually February, looks like this happened. And 2 teens have been arrested, I guess charged. They are not identified. But I'm going to speculate that if they were white, that probably would have been amplified a little bit. It was not.
They definitely would have said that. Yeah.
So that's not a confirmed hoax, but that leans hoax.
It's basically a confirmed hoax.
We're supposed to believe that the one real case of hate. Oh, and the other one they're counting in the 5. They mentioned Rosemont High in that story. Well, Rosemont High is the one we just talked about. That was the penciling that's already confirmed as a hoax. Because this report on the vice principal came out 2 days before the confirmation on this hoax came out. So
all hoaxes is what you're telling me.
I'm confident in saying, well, two are confirmed hoaxes. Or is it 3? I've lost count here.
It's 3, and then the one that wasn't racially motivated.
One is a teacher saying a word in context. And the other is... it's vandals who are now arrested. They're teenagers and they've not been identified, but you know what that means.
Yeah.
So there's not a single case of an actual case of racial animus or racial hatred. There's not a single one of them. We're supposed to believe, though, that this teacher is the one case that this N-word generally near her parking spot is the one case that's happened over this supposed trend in Sacramento. We'll see what comes of her lawsuit. As I mentioned, the terms of that lawsuit are not yet disclosed. But hey, as you said, maybe she'll just be absolutely cashing out on the state of California, and we can help bankrupt that state just a little bit quicker.
Just a little bit more. Yeah. That is my heart's desire.
Well, I don't know. If we ever do reclaim California, I'm not going back to Sacramento. I'm picking a different spot.
No, I mean, it'd be so nice, though. I don't want to deal with Idaho weather for the rest of my life. I'm getting pushed to the worst parts of the country in terms of weather. It's really pissing me off.
Well, California's got it all, though. They've got the Sierra Nevada. It's one of the few places where you can really go beach to mountains and have really everything in between. So
yeah, it's the best state.
It'd be nice to have it back. I'm with you on that. All right, anything else before the movie review?
No, let's do it.
All right.